Hello, this is Kim Butler. Today we're going to take a look at your maximum potential. So this is the capability that you as an individual or a family, you could look at it either way, have in terms of your earning capacity over your lifetime. I think some pretty interesting information. So we're going to look out, first of all, just 30 years, like a normal working environment, say age 30 to 60. So we'll just put a 30-year-old in here. We'll pretend this person doesn't have any assets and will have an annual income of $100,000. So that could be family income or individual income, doesn't matter. Well, the first thing that we see is that assuming that they could literally save all that money, which of course is completely hypothetical, they would have a $3 million cumulative amount of money. This is no interest rate. This is just literally the savings added up. It's not tough math. It's $100,000 times 30 years. That would be your $3 million number. Now, of course, you're going to assume that you can earn some money on this money. So we'll put in an interest rate in of 5%. And we can see that now if we apply that 5% interest rate, we get a compounded number, in other words, the cumulative number with interest rate and time impacting it. We get a compounded number of $6.9 million. And so we say, okay, that's literally what your maximum potential is. Well, what happens to some of that money? Well, as we know, the first thing that happens is we pay some taxes. So let's say just average rate, we pay 25% of those dollars that we're earning in taxes. So you can see right away that this $6 million number immediately dropped to $5 million. In fact, it's $6.9 million to $5.2 million because of taxes. And the amount of taxes that was paid was only $750,000. And yet the actual loss was $1.7 million. So that brings up one of the very first and yet often missed concepts around personal finances, which is the area of opportunity cost. And this is something that you probably learned in high school or maybe college, econ or accounting, opportunity cost, yet often it's taught in a corporate environment around some type of business's case study. And it's not really ever brought down to our own personal level. And it's very easy to see the impact of it here, but it's very difficult to see it on a day-to-day basis or even on an annual basis, like, for example, when we file our tax returns. So here, over this 30-year period of time, you've paid in actual dollars, $750,000 to the government, but that had a $1.7 million impact because right down here you can see in the red, taxes are paid over time. They're not paid at the beginning and they're not paid at the end of this hypothetical lifetime that we're looking at here. By the way, don't get overly focused on the 30 to 60 because we know age 60 is not a good thing to be looking at in terms of stopping work. We're just using that 30-year period as a measuring tool right now. Frankly, it could be 40 to 70. It could be 60 to 90. And we'll come back to talk about that. So we have, again, some knowledge here. Okay, we had this big amount of money. Now we have less because we paid taxes and even less because of the opportunity cost that we lost because the $750,000 could not earn money. We lost $1.7 million. All right, well, what else do we have going on in our lives? Often debt, right? So let's say just round numbers that 30% of our income is going to debt. Well, now that's a $900,000 loss of principal, but it impacts our overall wealth by $2 million. Again, because over this 30-year period of time, that $900,000, which was taken out over time, couldn't earn this dedicated 5% that we've applied to this discussion. And so it isn't just 900,000, it's actually 2,092,000. All right, well, what about lifestyle, right? We have food that we eat and we have cars that we pay for that are not a part of the debt, etc. So let's just say that lifestyle was, I don't know, another 35%. So now we have $1 million of costs that have an opportunity cost total of 2.4. And now we can see that whatever is left over, in this case, it's 10%. And I would say in America, and I'm sure the same is true in Canada as well, 10% of your income going to savings is a pretty decent number. And we have accumulated with a compound number from our beginning, the 6.9 million, but now because of all those costs, so again, taxes and debt service and lifestyle, we are down to $719,000. And you'll see that this is just 7 years of future income. Obviously, 100,000 divided by 100,000 is about 7 years of income that you could live on. And this is not assuming inflation. I'm not applying inflation to these numbers at all. I think it just confuses the situation. So a couple things that I want you to take away from this. Maximum potential here, 719,000. That's kind of interesting compared to the 6.9 million that it could have been could we have saved all of our money. So we know that the 6.9 million is not reasonable because we do have to pay taxes, we do have debt, and we do have to live. And yet it's interesting to see this massive, massive impact. Now let's pause and think about what can we do to solve this. So a lot of financial people would say, oh, well, you just need to get a higher rate of return, right? So if you could, for example, earn 10%, which by the way is doubling, that's a 100% increase going from 5 to 10. If you could earn 10% on your savings, same 10% of savings, now earning 10% instead of 10% of savings earning only 5%, you would get up to $1.9 million. Okay, it's a little better, but we still know, we can just do easy math, that that's only 19 years of that same $100,000 income. Again, setting inflation aside for a little bit. Part of the reason that I'm doing that is you can't do a lot about inflation. There's some things that you can do about it, but inflation is going to affect everything. So we're just at a high level having a discussion today. So if we identify that the increase from our earnings from an investment standpoint, going from 5 to 10 is going to help us, but not enough, what are some other things that we might be able to do? So let's first of all take that earnings back down to a 5% rate where we could lock it in and make it a little bit more guaranteed. And what if instead of giving 25% of our earned income, not investment income, to the government, we were able to shift that just a little bit and knock it down to maybe 20%, just a reduction in the amount of taxes that we're paying somehow, some way. Well, if we did that, we'll notice that our 700,000 is now grown to $1 million, so we're making some progress. What if also over time we could either handle our debt more efficiently or possibly reduce its amount that we are paying all the time, let's say by half over our lifetime. So we take that 30% and cut it down to 15. Now we are putting in the wrong math on this. Hold on a minute. Let me get all the numbers out of there. 30%, there we go. That looks a little better. 30% cutting it down to 15. Well, now we are at 21 years of income saved. Same 10%, but the results of that would extend out much, much longer. And notice that I haven't touched lifestyle at all. I'm going to literally leave that alone. Now, this is indicating that we took all of the money that we were paying to the government in taxes and all of the money that we were spending on debt and shifted it all to savings. In other words, we didn't decrease our lifestyle, but we also didn't increase it. Don't know how realistic that is, yet it's very interesting to see that we made a big, big difference, all the while maintaining a very conservative investment rate. So these are a couple things to think about. One, everything that you can do to take taxes and legally reduce them is a very good use of your time and effort. And two, everything that we can do to make sure that the debt that we have is the most efficient possible. Doesn't matter necessarily what kind or how much, that's certainly going to play a role, but just within reason, making it as efficient as possible. So the largest debt that most people have is the mortgage, and I have a book on Amazon called Busting the Interest Rate Lies. It is available on a Kindle version, a soft copy, as well as an Audible version. There are quite a few additional calculators in there, so I would actually encourage either the Kindle or the soft copy. If you really enjoy listening, maybe you grab both so that you can see those calculators. And if for whatever reason you don't want to, reach out to me. I'd be happy to send you the pictures of the calculators in the Busting the Interest Rate Lies book. So this is Kim Butler, and I will see you on the inside.